Okay, people, Eric July does not play around. He intends to deliver, and he delivers indeed when it comes to comic books in the comic book space. You can lob a lot of complaints at him. A lot of people complain about things that, in my humble opinion, don't really matter when it comes to the goodness and or lack thereof of the comic book content itself. You can have your problems with who he is as a person, but man, he delivers. So the Horseman has been released. Hopefully, you've got your pre-order in. I actually want to give a shout out to their customer service. I put in an order. For some reason, it put in my old address. Immediately, I put in a help desk ticket. I was helped within 5 minutes. Issue was corrected. Now, look, I'm going to say this right at the onset. As the Rippaverse gets bigger, becomes a bigger company, it probably will be a lot harder to address issues like that very quickly. They're probably dealing with, I'd say, thousands of people right now. But when you start dealing with hundreds of thousands and then millions, yeah, it becomes a lot harder to address customer service concerns right away. So right out the gate, I'm going to say as they get bigger and it gets a little harder to deal with these things immediately, I'm not going to hold that against them. This is the price of growing a company. So he released a longer form cartoon trailer for Horseman. And man, oh man, now I warn you, if you have children, this cartoon is going to be kind of graphic. There is some graphic violence shown in this cartoon. So I'm just letting you know that right now. But man, it feels like the way American animation used to be. And this is the thing I like about this. This is how animation in the West used to be, filled with fun and decent animation. I think too many people are trying to mirror and mimic other styles. I like the way anime does their thing, but I don't think there's really a need for people in the West to necessarily copy that. Just do your own thing. Anime will survive because people like that style, but I like this style right here that we're getting from the Horseman. So we're going to watch this trailer. I'm probably going to pause and say some things, but man, this was good. The Horseman. Who releases comic book trailers? This was genius. Mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised, just as I said earlier.
Who the hell is this guy?
Now, let me start out by saying the voice acting, top notch. I like it. I like it a lot.
What's he want? Where's he come from? After every soldier I have with him and he kicks their ass.
He gets busy. The Horseman is a grittier character than I thought. Like I said, more like the Punisher.
Oh, man.
I like this animation. He is getting busy. This is where it gets kind of graphic, I warn you. He is definitely not Batman. He is a whole nother character.
With my money. Now what are y'all gonna do about that? Turn us loose, Tuna.
Let us do what we do.
This is gonna be a good book. And the thing is, there's so many more announcements in this trailer right here. There's some things announced that I'll let play out and I'll go over a little bit. But man, I like the way these things are playing out. We're gonna find out some more info, some very exciting
What's up,
info.
Rippaverse family? It's Dean Kane here, and I'll be voicing the Horseman for the upcoming Rippaverse animations.
This
That's
is
right.
incredible.
This is a completely
Dean
independent venture.
freaking Kane,
and we want to see it
Superman himself.
through. Okay, well-produced, solid Western animation desperately needs to return to form. Definitely
agree.
need it. The Rippaverse has a team that's prepared to consistently release episodic content. They are prepared.
Doing his thing.
The Horseman would be a great start. So please help us make it happen. Head over to Rippaverse.com and become a member for as little as $5.
This is a
Appreciate you.
huge
Hey guys, I'm Eric
announcement.
July, the founder and owner of the Rippaverse. And now, The Horseman, Welcome to Flores Park by Chuck Dixon and Joe
this
Bennett
is heating up.
for pre-order.
It's
This is
heating
one
up
of our
pretty
most
good.
highly anticipated comic books, and I know you're going to enjoy it. But not only did the animation you just watched serve as the trailer for the book, it also is the pilot. Let me take some time to
Now,
explain.
I like
We've
where
done
he's going
several
with
animated
this.
trailers since the launch of Rippaverse Studios. During that period of time, we were familiarizing ourselves with the industry while also building our creative team. Our
was like a
animations
taste test.
consistently improved,
I like it.
and we now believe that we have the foundation to take things to the next level. Simply put, we want to have an animated universe with long-form content. This
And I wanted to pause and say this. This is part of what I was talking about in one of my previous videos where I said with every move, things get better. You can tell there's more and more being poured into the company, and there's more and more that's being done to make the content better than it was before. The first animated trailer for ISOM was good. Then you had, I think it was Alpha Core. Then you had that live action Yaira, which was good. I prefer cartoons personally, but that live action Yaira, it was good. I liked it. And now you have this right here. This, I think, is a step up from what was done initially. And this is done very well.
animated universe will not simply exist on its own. It'd be an extension of the comics with accurate adaptations specifically made to fit the animated format. But this isn't a pilot meant to shop this around in hopes that some mega corporation will pay us to
And this
pick it
is the
up
part of
and
it I
then,
like.
you know, run it into the ground. This is more of a proof of concept for the audience in hopes that you like what you see, so we can do this independently. As you see, our quality is top notch, and if we
I
have
agree.
the time and
It
resources
is.
to produce, we can create awesome competitive content for your enjoyment.
And look, competitive it is. The pacing that the Rippaverse is going through to release continual comic books. Now, I've seen a lot of independent comic book companies like True Indie. Image is indie, but they're indie with a big platform, if that makes sense. But there are some comic creators, just like the Rippaverse, that puts out, you know, content on a consistent basis. But there's a lot of indie creators that really don't. I can't fault them. This is not an easy business to get into. Eric July had other ventures that I believe he used to back this venture. He invested in himself, which I applaud him for that. And not everybody's in a position to do that, so I understand. But he's playing for keeps.
Horseman would be a great starting point, voiced by the legendary Dean Cain.
That's
that
huge.
said, animation is much different from comics when it comes to production. It takes a bigger team.
And I
to
like what he
produce, and of
says right
course,
here.
It's far more expensive. And getting a financial return from it is a different animal, especially in this digital
I can
age.
only imagine.
With a comic, we can create and sell the physical copies, which dominate the market. With animated content, it's far more difficult to get that return.
Gotta figure
You
out
have
another
to
way to
invest
make
a lot
revenue.
in it before you ever have a chance to make that money back. That's why it's far more attractive for people to sell off the rights to a big studio. Doing that is a lot less risky, and of course, they'll just pay you. But here's our plan.
But that's
and
when
pitch.
stuff
our
gets
long-term
destroyed.
goal is to house long-form content on our membership platform at Rippaverse.com. Basically, it'll have a streaming service element. Eventually, once we can justify it, certain works would be distributed on other platforms with hard copies such as Blu-ray.
This
If
is the
we
way to
ever
do
hit
it, in my humble
5,000
opinion.
paid members of any kind, we'd finish episode #1 of The Horseman. It'd have at
Let's
least
go.
a 10-minute runtime. We'd release that on our
Man.
social media platforms so most
I
people
want him to
can
get to
view it
5,000.
in hopes that it would invite newbies to become members. Once we hit 10,000 total members,
Man,
we commit
look.
to completing the
I hope
first
he gets there.
season of The
I wanna
Horseman,
see the first
which
season.
would be housed exclusively on our platform. Right now, the comics and merchandise pay for the comic books. That'll always remain our primary focus. The memberships, which come with awesome perks, we hope to be what funds Rippaverse Studios projects. I love to keep our animators busy
Like
and
what he's
build
doing.
Rippaverse Studios to be the next big indie producer. So head over to Rippaverse.com and become a paid member if you want to support this plan. Perks right now include merch and shipping discounts, but we're also doing a membership overhaul. Soon, we will be adding forums so you can nerd out with the fandom. We'll also do plenty of member-only content and streams so we can let you in on the process creatively. The list of perks will continue to grow. So please share this video out to all of your friends and family and become a member over at Rippaverse.com and go pre-order the Horseman Welcome to Flores Park by Chuck Dixon and Joe Bennett.
Man, this is a big deal. Now, I wanted to also take you to the Horseman collection page, and it has made quite a bit of money so far. I believe, let me go back to the collection. Yeah, $237,000, and that's just today alone. That's huge. When you look at the amount of money that he's making over these collections, you know, back to back releasing these things, man, this is, you say whatever you want about him. He's making some smart business moves. Let me refresh this because I've had it open for a while. Yeah, still the same amount. But he's making some smart business moves. And man, some of these covers for Horseman, if you haven't seen them, let me see if I can bring the page up, because earlier today it was so bogged down I couldn't even bring the page up to see the different Horseman covers. And these covers are done very, very well. I like them. I like them a lot. This, of course, I had to get this one. Yeah, this one's pretty dope. I think I got this one, or it might have been this one. I can't remember. I might buy a couple more when I get paid. Anyway, these books look very good, and I think this will be the mass print cover right here. I like the fact that the books look more like, I would say, I don't want to necessarily say 90s era. I'm just going to say like traditional Western comic books. Like, he's keeping the tradition alive, and I really appreciate this. This was done well enough that I am impressed. I'm excited. And I think from the sales numbers so far, what we see, there's a lot of people who are excited about this book. The Rippaverse, like I said, is playing for keeps. Later on today, hopefully, I plan on releasing a video where I am going to go page by page through ISUM number 1. One of the reasons I want to do this, I've been trying to get my setup right to do this, but one of the reasons I've wanted to do it is there's so much said about ISUM number 1, so much criticism the book gets. And I'm not saying the book doesn't deserve any criticism, but I also don't think the book gets enough praise for what it did in setting up everything we're seeing now. I think the reason so many people were eager to sign on, because if I understand it correctly, I think it was Mike Barron who pretty much told Eric July he wanted to be a part of the Rippaverse when he first saw it. And I believe he asked Chuck Dixon about joining. I could be mistaken about that. I believe he did. But nonetheless, Chuck Dixon agreed to. And you can tell when you see Chuck Dixon talking with Eric and talking about different things they're developing, he's excited. When you get veterans who probably lost some excitement due to, things going on in the comic book industry, when you get these veterans to get excited once again about comic books, man, you have a recipe for success. And I think that's exactly what we have here with the Horseman.